Welcome back to GFF and Friends, the podcast for clairvoyance. Step into my tent with crystals.
No.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
I know that's like the number one rule of improv is not to do that, but
you're terrible.
But I'm scared.
We've talked about this before.
Sorry.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Gay Fat Friend, aka Todd, and joining me as always is a terrible improver, the love of my life, my teeny tiny husband, Rob.
It's mostly I think that I just don't love the idea of improv, and I like being deadpan. And part of my deadpan thing is just that, I love to shut things down.
You do, but also you freeze like a deer in headlights.
I do.
When anything is out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So that's why you're afraid of drag queens and like audience interaction.
Unfortunately, most things when they're out of the ordinary are usually coming at me in some sort of aggressive manner, and so it's never a positive thing. It's not just like, oh, here's $500. What are you gonna do? Ah! Like there's never that. It's always more of like something kind of scary, like a crazy person trying to open my door at a gas station.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's different situations. That's called life.
I feel like I'm a magnet for weird shit.
Well, it's because you're highly perceptive, and so you think a little too much.
Maybe.
And you think everything is about you.
It is.
Right? It is. But also you're little, so like the world overlooks you a lot.
It's true. Like literally yesterday picking up dinner, someone just started backing into me. Like as if I was never there, as if I was a ghost. And and luckily his husband saw me when he came in the door, and so he knew I was there. And as soon as his husband started just drifting back, he was like, "Oh," and like so, like I didn't get totally crushed. But
well, the funny thing is too, I wasn't with you; you were alone, which always makes me nervous when you go out into the world alone. But when I am with you and people do that, like you sometimes wait till the last second or never speak up, and so I feel like I have to defend you a lot, and not have to. I enjoy doing it, but like I can see that. Like we go to concerts and people step on your feet a lot. I'm like, hey, there's a little man down here. Watch out.
But the last thing I want to be is one of those people who's like driving through a 4-way stop and honking because they want to make sure people are stopping. Like, I hate that.
That's totally different situation.
I know, but I just want to be that person who's like honking before
if someone's about to step on you, it's okay to put your hand up and say, excuse me, you're about to step on me.
All right, fine.
If you're standing at a bar for 10 minutes trying to order a beer and a bartender never stops to talk to you, it's okay to be like, hey, wave, hey guy, I'm over here.
I do my best.
It is weird. Like, I'm 6'7", and I am rarely invisible or ignored unless I'm in like muscular gay spaces. But that's another thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But in the service industry, I'm never ignored. I can walk up to a bar and get a drink pretty much instantly. And it's never even something I thought really happened. Like, I feel like if you walk up to a bar, someone's going to ask you what you want to drink. But when I started dating Rob and we went out to clubs and bars and stuff, the amount of bartenders that just do not see him and ignore him. Poor little guy used to just stand at the bar forever waiting to get a drink.
And like I literally will do a thing where like I will even talk to the people who are seated at the bar and kind of make an arrangement where I can put my feet on the bottom rungs of their stools. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically between two people usually, kind of like, but it's giving me a good solid, 7 inches of extra height. So it brings me up to like 5'11". Wahoo. And so at that point, I can usually get some people's attention because I can pivot over the bar.
Yeah.
The problem is if I'm leaning up against the bar where the pivot point is like it's like at my sternum. I can, if I want to put my head on the bar like I'm passing out, yes, I can. But like if I need to order a drink, you can't really like get the waist up kind of lean that people need to do without like full on gymnast hoist kind of thing, or like you're coming out of a pool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird.
Well, like I say, there's little privilege and a lot of things in the world are made for you. Like a airplane. You've never met an airplane you are uncomfortable on. Yeah. Clothes. You can just buy clothes off of a rack. I mean, you do have to have a pants tailored occasionally.
Those taken in, yeah.
But then there is also the opposite of little privilege, which is little struggle. Is that what we would call it?
It's invisibility, honestly, in a lot of ways. Like we are just not seen in the same way.
You need to learn how to monetize and weaponize your invisibility. Okay? Yes. If you're going to have the superpower of no one seeing you ever, we need to figure out how we can make it work for the family.
Right? Okay.
Ruby needs another bedroom to lay in.
I'd make such a shitty spy though because I love to talk.
You are chatty. See, but there always has to be like a distraction man.
Ah,
You could be the distraction man at the door that's like, oh, fiddle-dee-dee.
never met a stranger. Let's talk
Right?
about the local sports
Oh,
team.
excuse me, security guard. How's your day? Do you carry a pistol? What's your day like? And then me, the intelligence spy, could sneak in the back. I could never be a spy. I'm too big. I take up too much real estate. I could not. I couldn't do it.
I need to team up with another shorty, and it will just have like a crazy spy hijinks. I need to team up with a mute shorty.
Oh, you do all the. Oh, so like a Penn and Teller situation.
Yeah, Yappy and the sneak.
There you go.
And it's a
Police cops. Police cops.
Yappy and the Sneak
and
is
the Sneak.
It's a tale of two shorties who join up to become spies, and one is the distracting talky guy, and the other is sneaky through the vent guy.
Now, is this a movie or a TV show or a book?
I think it's a TV series with endless possibilities.
A comedy or a drama?
Oh well, Porque knows both. I think it should be a drama with one hearty laugh per episode.
Okay.
It'll sneak up on you. You won't know it's coming. It's like Sports Night, the show
So
that was
you're-
a comedy that wasn't funny, but occasionally there was like one laugh per episode that was so good that it would make you laugh for like 4 minutes.
I was gonna say, so it's like an Aaron Sorkin.
That's-
It's the bear. You want to do the bear?
But I honestly think it should be. But it should be kind of like. It should have some more action. I mean, I think it's going to have more comedy than anything else, probably because the yapper is going to be. Most of the writing is probably going to be, snappy, quick, stuff. I don't know. I don't even know why we're still yes-anding this. Look at me.
Well, we're trying. We're
Right.
trying to build that muscle. You
It's
know,
true.
you got to work it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that conversation reminds me of the plot that I have that I cannot figure out if it's a book, a movie, or a TV show. I can't figure out if it's a drama or a comedy. I can't figure out if it's serious or funny. Like, I have that perfect setup that we always talk about of, a society where in this society, it's already a given. You already buy it. We don't have to explain it. Someone has discovered that you can like swap bodies. We don't know if it's souls, electricity, energy, whatever it is, but you can swap bodies with people. So in this universe, people have discovered a way to monetize that is that fat people can switch bodies with fit people. And those people that have all that drive that want to be like, personal trainers and stuff can lose the weight and get your body in shape for you while you live in their
They get
body.
to see the results that they love.
Yeah.
So much.
So I've had this idea for decades of a society where people can swap bodies in order to like lose weight and get muscly and stuff, right? But then the hijinks comes in that a fat person and a muscly person switch, and you're supposed to like protect the body and stay in this resort, and you can't leave. So like no one can steal a fit body, Like when you swap bodies with someone, there's like an insurance that your body has to be safe. But then that sets it up like if it's a drama, then someone steals a muscly body and they disappear, and then like the whole thing is
or
about
falls in love.
right, and then the whole thing is about this like muscly person that's trapped in a fat body that they were like hired to lose weight for, but then they have to go out and find their muscly body. Does that make sense? But yeah, but it could also be a nutty office style hijinks comedy.
Well, it's funny because even part of this almost sounds kind of like if the substance didn't have the swap.
Correct.
If it was more of the coexistence element.
Yeah, both bodies are alive at the same time.
Yeah, then like it'd be more of that sort of almost like cat and mouse, or like just the interplay of the power between them. Because it's funny, like not to get into spoilers for the substance, but I do feel like that's the one thing that I kept wondering, like, why, like what power does the original exert over the copy in the substance, aside from like control over when the swap happens.
Right? It's never really
There's nothing she can
confirmed.
do that will really upset her.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of those things where like she technically has all the power, I guess, but she's coming from a losing position in the first place. But I don't know. But it's one of those things where I kept kind of wondering, I was like, that's like the one thing that I'm kind of like, you kind of just minorly annoyed the other one.
Yeah.
Like, you can hire a cleaner and fix that. So,
But yeah, so for decades I've been stuck in indecision of how to write this. I don't know the best route to take, or if it's a book, should it be a book?
well, and it is interesting because, like, yeah, I mean, especially as we've been talking more about like the adaptation and stuff, and like the art of the adaptation, because like there's some things that just the wrong choice seems to be made, and I know that like we have different feelings about this movie, but also I think we also came at the movie with very different expectations of what it would be. World War Z. like I'm not a huge fan. There's
I
nothing.
only liked it because of Brad Pitt.
Yeah, there's nothing about that movie that I was really excited about, except for the title, which was it's loosely based on a book that was really quite great. And that book, honestly, like when you read it, the way that book makes sense is as a television series. Like,
because each chapter is a letter, isn't it?
or each chapter is a different survival story of what
the
happened.
people, yeah.
And like one of them
It's almost
is,
like the Matrix
and
cartoon.
I mean, I read it when it first came out, but I want to say like one of them is like a blind man and one of them is like in Japan. And like there's like it's a lot of different sort of like world coverage about how people dealt with different situations in that.
Yeah.
That is a killer TV show. And like literally if you're doing one about a man who's deaf, you can have that episode have no audio. Like you can do fun bottle episode tricks and you can create a meta narrative across all of them that tells the overall story, with either intro and outro moments with one solid set of characters, or just have them craft the history over time.
Yeah.
But like that was such an awesome opportunity to take a book that kind of brought zombies back into like a kind of interesting way. I mean, like zombies are always fun, but like it was an interesting kind of like book take on zombies that I feel a lot of people felt was fresh at the time. And then instead the movie became about CG swarms, which neat to look at, but like not the threat.
Yeah, it does sound like it should have been a TV show.
Yeah, at least that's my original take on that. Yeah.
It almost sounds like that show, I think it was on Netflix, where it doesn't matter what order you watch the episodes in.
Yeah. I forgot what that was, but yeah.
Isn't it Juan Carlos? Isn't he in it? Is that his name from Breaking Bad?
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. I think he's in it. But yeah, it's like every episode, it doesn't matter what order you watch the episodes in. It's the same, like the story makes sense no matter what.
That's cool.
And I feel like World War Z could have been that.
Yeah.
From what you're describing.
No, totally. It could have been a borderline anthology series.
Well, it's like Dolores Claiborne, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I will read the book this year. I'm going to do it. But I think that's all letters or like diary entries or something.
Oh, it's because I haven't read Dolores Claiborne at all. But I mean, Carrie is all newspaper clippings, letters, recounts. It's reaccounts the situation. It's all
like people telling the stories of like what happened.
There's no omniscient narrator at all.
Yeah.
In Carrie, it's all kind of just various accounts of what happened.
Yeah, which is almost like Geek Love, which I just finished this week.
Congratulations,
Finally,
by the way.
After 13 years of being with Rob and it being his favorite book, I finally finished it. I did ear read it. I listened to it on Audible, which I have owned that Audible purchase for 12 years, probably.
It was shortly after we met.
I listened to the first half of it years ago, and I just never finished it. And so I finally went back and started it from the beginning. And in about 5 days, I listened to the whole thing. And so I finally listened to Rob's favorite book.
And you've built up the audio muscle now where you can start listening to books at more than one speed. Because at the time, you were listening to it at a single speed because you were like, I couldn't speed this up.
She was acting. She was like, I'm giving the performance of a lifetime, doing voices for everyone, lots of emphasis.
Which appreciated.
Yeah, no, that's great. But I was talking to people online and I was like, I think I'd be more open and susceptible to like I don't want to say AI, but like a robotic voice just reading it.
Just a straight read.
What your Kindle used to do.
Yeah, my old text to speech.
Yeah, if I could just get like almost like a Siri or an Amazon Echo voice to just read it to me, I don't need the acting.
Which I miss that feature so much, except unless someone is like screaming in the book. At that point, it goes A, but you're just like, oh god, like it just completely like, especially if you're driving, you're just like,
oh my god,
as it starts spelling.
That's like when you break like an Amazon Echo voice or whatever, and they go, yeah. Search up like Amazon Echo broken voices on TikTok,
or someone broke Siri.
Hey, do you want to go to the beach? Because you just add a shit ton of extra letters and it breaks the voice. Oh, that's
so good. So good.
Speaking of acting, the Oscars are on right now. And I know that we like see a lot of movies. We talk a lot of movies. I don't really care about the Oscars this year.
This is the most lukewarm. I mean, it's right. I want to see Conan. That's about it. Like I like
O'Brien hosting.
Yeah, I want to see Conan. But like beyond that, I honestly don't care. My favorite movies of the year, some of them are nominated for some things. I doubt they will win any of them, and it doesn't matter. I like them, and a lot of my favorites of the year got nothing, and that's cool too because I like them. And so I think this is the first year I've been fully disengaged, where I'm just like, I really don't care. And honestly, we haven't seen a lot of the big ones.
Yeah,
we need to see The Brutalist and stuff, which I know I want to see.
Nora.
I want to see that too, or we need to see that. But yeah, it's at least I feel like I don't know. The Brutalist just feels like that movie that's like, there's never going to be the right time to watch that
Right.
movie. It just
we have
doesn't
to break
feel
it
like,
up over a weekend like we did with The
Yeah.
Irishman.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like a movie that, I mean, at least it has an intermission.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, at that point, it's pushing 4 hours. That's like a
That's a
miniseries on
miniseries.
Netflix.
Seriously, like we've
come on.
gotten very used to the miniseries structure.
Let's break it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's because like the world is ending or what, but like I just don't really care about awards anymore. Also, like I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or if I just pay so much attention to pop culture and stuff, but like awards really don't mean anything anymore, and it doesn't change the quality of the content.
Right?
Like I'm really happy, like honestly, truly happy that Beyonce won Album of the Year because she deserved it. And it's a great album and like she needed that award. But at the end of the day, if she had lost it, it wouldn't have changed my love for that album.
Right?
You know?
And it is a thing where, like, seriously, just because the award show is televised doesn't necessarily give it legitimacy. Like, it's just an award show, and anyone can decide to have an award show and be the jury and grant awards to people.
Exactly.
And so yeah, it's one of those where like,
which is basically what the Golden Globes are.
Totally. And some of them are super fun to watch. Like, and honestly, and it's nice to see some things get honored because especially some shows award different things. Like, the Billboard Awards are awarding popularity, and like the Grammys are awarding what a select group of Academy members value.
Yeah.
Reminder, everyone. But it's a thing where like, you're witnessing very, these slices of subcultures and what they value, which is neat.
Yeah,
But
I would say
also-
that the reason I watch award shows the most is for all of my favorite celebrities in a room together. I do like watching them interact and stuff and be funny, but like the actual show itself and the awards are like the last on my list. I don't really care.
Well, and that show's gotten real bloated. I used to enjoy some of the fanfare, but like,
It could be an hour and a half.
Right?
You can get it done.
yeah,
Like we don't need all the jokes and the bits and the act outs and stuff. They're not doing any of the music this year.
yeah, just the montages. Like, seriously, like In Memoriam, yes,
Yeah.
keep. Every other montage probably can go.
We don't need
Like,
them.
I remember, like, there was one a couple years ago where it was like a 4 or 5 minute montage, and halfway through it, I didn't know what was connecting anything anymore. Like, I was just like, these are all just clips from movies.
Yeah.
And I remember actually at the time, like, I was active on, a social platform that I won't even name anymore. But like, I remember going on there and like somebody said, like, the only thing I can figure out is the montage theme here is movies. And it's just like, okay, like seriously, like this is not just a celebration of the format. This is the umpteenth annual. Oh, we know why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do that. Like that, this is the newest Batman movie. You don't have to show his parents dying.
Yeah, it just feels very bloated.
Yeah.
Also, like in the sense of like video killed the radio star and the internet killed print media. Like I feel like we don't need any of these montages because we've been seeing these clips on the internet for 6 months.
Yeah, we live on montages.
Yeah.
CapCut is our nourishment now.
Yeah, we can watch, our favorite Ariana Grande performances from Wicked on our phones every day. We don't need to see a 30-second clip of it before she accepts an award.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I don't know. It feels very outdated and bloated, and it's just like, let's trim it down, guys. Let's trim it down. Or don't broadcast it live and give us the option to fast forward.
That might
Give
be
us
nice.
TiVo award shows. That's what we
Seriously,
need.
there is no reason it has to be live.
No, there's no reason it has to be live, and also there's no reason it has to be almost 4 hours. Like the DVR, the TV guide setting to record it is almost 4 hours.
Well,
I'm like, what's going on, guys?
And of course,
there's not even that many awards.
And it can be live, like late shows are live, in that yes, they are recorded real
front of
time,
an audience.
in real time, like
Yeah.
they go, but they're also recorded 5 hours before they air, or more.
It's too much.
Anyway,
Speaking of movies, though,
Yeah.
we did watch another hit from the
Oh, yeah.
90s.
This is the
That's why
the Clairvoyance
That's why I
callback.
opened the show with Clairvoyance, because Rob and I have this funny gift. We used to call it, what do we call it? Like chaotic coincidences.
something like that. Yeah,
But also like we have like a mild clairvoyant, I don't know, it's just a weird coincidence thing, but it's become a joke that it happens so often. So last night we watched another movie from the past, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. And the thing about us, since we moved to Seattle, we have watched so many movies that we didn't know took place in Seattle, or like mildly forgot. But we'll watch it and all of a sudden it's like in our neighborhood, near where we shop, places we've been, takes place in Seattle. And we're like, what the hell?
Right?
So
Yeah.
sorry, let me catch my breath. So we go to watch Hand That Rocks the Cradle because we're just trying to watch old 90s thrillers, right? And we turn it on and we'll be like, how funny if it was in Seattle. And like A second after I said that, there's a TV news program on the TV in her kitchen in like the opening scene of the movie when the news program is called like Seattle Tonight. And Rob goes, did she just say Seattle?
Yeah, it's like so-and-so in Seattle. And we're all like,
does it take place here?
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, I was like, those views look familiar. So while we're watching the movie, I Google, part of it was filmed in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like what?
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, and then like even like they drop a couple of addresses throughout the movie.
That was wild.
And like we looked them up. They didn't change any addresses.
The addresses are real. It is a bit of a lie because one, like the main house is in Tacoma.
They fudged the
neighborhoods. Far away from Seattle.
But like the house and street number, if you want to go look at that house, are the same as what they verbalize.
What is it? 808 Yakima?
I think it was 808 Yakima.
And it's in Tacoma, and that is the address of the house they filmed the movie in.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Right? It's like right there.
We're not going to change, but we got to do 555 for every phone number?
Totally. So, yeah. But it's funny because we've had the situation before with like, I'd forgotten, I mean, he'd never seen it, but I'd forgotten that 10 Things I Hate About You takes place in Seattle.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And it's funny because it feels like such a huge part of that movie, especially like now knowing about like the Bridge Troll and like Ironworks, just the whole thing. So I'm like, oh yeah, like if you know, you know. But at the time I had it didn't register.
Well, it's also funny, like, in the movie last night, her dry cleaner, which is a sidebar, a joke that we have about Seattle is for some reason there's a dry cleaner on every block.
So many.
I don't know if they're like literally laundering money in there, but for some reason there are dry cleaners everywhere. But her dry cleaner was in Fremont and like right in the heart of like the cute little Fremont shopping district. But then their house was in Tacoma and she got there so fast.
Lickety split, you know.
It's
how
like,
it goes.
That's a good hour and a half journey.
She also parked right in front of the dry cleaner.
Right. And we used to do that in LA too. It's a big thing in LA where someone will be like eating dinner in Santa Monica and then they're like, oh, I got to run home. And their house is in Los Feliz. And you're like, you did not get there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. And people just love to like fudge those geographical locations in movies all the time. And it's always so funny to see it in another city.
Well, especially like, but it's amazing because in Los Angeles, there's so many people that live there. Like, it's amazing because you keep thinking like, oh, well, it's this specific group that live there that would point that out. That population is massive.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a huge percentage of people.
It's like when people are like, oh, we'll have dinner near Griffith and then we'll go for drinks and dessert
at Disneyland.
In Venice or in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And you're like, no one would ever do that ever.
Yeah, you're going to drive 2.5 hours.
Right?
Like,
even in a helicopter, you wouldn't do it.
Right? Oh, okay. But no, it's funny because, like, of other movies that were, like, surprising to be in Seattle. Like, so, yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You, I'd forgotten. Malignant, first time we watch it, like, boom, it's in Seattle. Who knew? And we just moved here when we saw that. So that was felt like a welcome home kind of treat. And then what was the other one? Oh, Sonic 2, which, like, Sonic 1 was in San Francisco. So Sonic 2 starts up and it's in Seattle. And we were like, did the first one happen in Seattle?
I was like, no.
What? Like, but yeah, I want to say there was another one even like when we first moved here, we fired up like an old movie and it was just like, I'd forgotten that was here.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like there was one more because like Singles is about Seattle. So
as
we knew
Sleepless
that.
in Seattle.
Yeah. So we knew those, but I feel like there was one more older movie that we're just watching and they're like, I went down to Fremont and blah, 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 Seattle. And we're like, oh my God, it's here?
Right? Just casual needle shot in the B-roll. Like, okay.
Someone said that back in the day, Seattle had huge like tax breaks and it was really easy to film here.
It makes sense. There was like a 90s movies boom.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, industry terms, they could shoot day for night. They could shoot Seattle for San Francisco, Seattle for Cincinnati, like pretty much any city that has hills, they could film here and lie and cheat. So,
yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, the Seattle filming boom, I mean, it's not as big as it was in the film Malignant, where she had constant auditions.
Seriously, that woman's sister was so busy
with her auditions. Meanwhile, I've never had a single audition here ever. But I was walking around, I'm on a Zep-bound journey back into my fitness routine. So I've been going on daily walks. Also, the weather here in Seattle has been delightful.
Well, we're in the fake spring era.
Yeah, we got fall spring tricked.
Yeah.
Seattle tricked us.
But hey, make hay while the sun is shining.
Yeah, so I was outside enjoying the weather. And there was a big production filming in our neighborhood. And then later that night, I saw a TikTok that apparently Seattle's getting its own Desperate Housewives franchise. And I think it could be filming in our neighborhood.
Or Real Housewives.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Real Housewives on Bravo. And potentially Seattle is getting Real Housewives of Seattle.
Or Real Housewives of the Puget Sound.
or P&W.
Oh, that might be it. Because
It could be
it's
that
like they
too.
got to probably open up their terms a little
Right,
bit.
they might have to like mix it into Portland a little bit.
Yeah, or Vancouver.
Yeah, but like the funny thing about our neighborhood is, like everything in Seattle, it's a giant hill, and one side of the hill in our neighborhood is billionaires, and then our side of the hill
gorgeous,
is like,
amazing.
Yeah.
Estates.
Our side of the hill is good old cheapy working class, and it's just so funny. Like, I can just walk to these mansions, and I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
And whenever I tell people where we live, they're like, ooh, and I'm like, no, we're not on that side.
Yeah, we're in the wooden box area.
Yeah, we're on the other side, the side that like doesn't get a lot of sun.
yeah. Well, we don't have the views of the water.
Yeah, but so yeah, we're just clairvoyant. Like, we should pick another random movie from the 90s and see if it's set in Seattle.
Seriously.
Oh, the other thing is, true to form, the movie just ends.
Yeah, we talk about these '90s movies where they just ran out
Not
of film.
mega spoiler, but like they wrap up the action and the storyline, and usually you would get, a minute or two of like, well, they got arrested and they did this and they cleaned up this and they
sitting in the back of the ambulance with a blanket.
Yeah.
Like
Nope.
something.
Yeah. With like fire trucks outside. Everybody's wrapped in blankets.
or-
like, oh, you got through that. We'll press charges.
Or even
blah,
like
blah,
the
blah.
long pull away shot is like of the response crew.
Yeah.
Sitting with the lights flashing and like, a dog from the neighbors running out to see what's happening. But this is literally like the last scene is in a room. And everyone except for, I think, a person exits that room through the door. And then it cuts to a wide shot of the house.
And credits.
And the
instantly.
credits are on top of it. Yeah, they don't even think they fade up. It's literally just like house and credits.
Yeah.
It felt like it was cut down for TV.
And it was almost the exact ending of Single White Female, which is so funny because we just watched that too.
Yeah.
So it's just like, was every like female-led thriller in the 90s, does it just end?
They're like, we solved it. Everyone's got to get home.
We didn't even solve it. It just like...
It's over.
Okay, the person is no longer attacking me. Let's roll the credits.
The threat is neutralized.
Yeah, seriously. They neutralize the threat and then roll credits.
Play out the rest in your head.
Like
This
a
family
slam
will
cut.
either be fine or they won't.
And like, I don't need a sequel, but I do need like 2 minutes of exposition.
You need a cuddle
an
afterwards?
epilogue. I need a little bit. No, I just need a little bit more. Just like,
Okay.
oh, the cops showed up and put handcuffs on somebody. Okay, now I'm good. Like I don't need someone to just end.
Well, I mean, putting handcuffs on somebody at the end of that movie would have been hilarious.
True.
Or
but yeah.
or a great injustice to someone. But
Yeah.
like, given the if it was appropriate, it actually would have been quite funny.
Yeah. But I feel like there's a ton of movies that I specifically have in my back catalog of like, really, like I get what you did, but we could have used one more second. Like the biggest one that comes to mind is Inception. Inception just slam cuts on an ending and you don't get a definitive answer.
Well, but-
Rob loves that.
But
I hate that.
Well, first off, we can talk about Inception freely because
not this episode.
no, we can. But not in depth. We can.
I was literally about to do the last segment, so I don't want to like talk about anything else.
But I'm saying it's one of those things of like, it's first off, that ending is fun because it makes you want to think, but also if you really think about that movie, the ending is, or the answer is actually there. Because the important thing is the top is not his totem.
I
It's
just saw
someone
TikTok
else's.
about that.
Yeah. Like his totem is something else. This is just misdirection and a fun little kind of way to make you go, ooh.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's not about that. It's about something else. And that hint is somewhere else in, in the movie.
But there was another movie that we watched that you love that I'm like, we could have used literally one more page, just one more page of the script to give us 2 sentences of wrapping something
yeah,
up.
there are. I do like a little bit of a leaves you hanging at times, but it's funny. And yet sometimes I hate that in like a book. So like I don't know. It depends.
Yeah,
on where I'm
I
at.
definitely wouldn't like it in a book. That's why I threw Wicked across the room when I finished Wicked. I hated that book. Terrible book.
Well, and it's funny. Like based on a recent recommendation from people in one of the comments of did we talk about the knock at the door on the podcast?
Is that the
Like no, like not
M.
the
Night
movie.
Shyamalan?
Not the movie. Our knock at the door.
Oh no, no,
Well-
we didn't. I just talked about it this week on the internet.
Well, yeah. So on Todd's social medias, on GFF and Friends, accounts,
TikTok, everything.
all the stuff. Todd did a post about a kind of like weird event that happened a little bit ago at our house, where a stranger came to our door, and it was just kind of off-putting. And it's like
A 16-year-old girl knocked on her door and asked if she could. She grew up in our house and asked if she could walk through
wanted
it.
to
And we
tour
were
it.
like, no.
yeah, no. And a lot of people when we first posted about it didn't really seem to understand why we said no, which was weird. And at least like now everyone kind of gets where we're coming from.
Yeah.
But
because I had originally just posted the story on Threads, and everybody, like, it got slammed with comments being like, oh, you should have let her in. That would have been a great memory. She could have gone back and told her mom about, and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what? Did you not hear what I said? A 16-year-old girl cannot come into adult strangers' homes.
Yeah.
Like that, there's something nefarious in some direction. I don't know.
That's just the internet where no one needs.
Also, you got to protect yourself.
That's the internet when no one knows to stay in their damn lane. Like
Yeah.
when they don't need to be chiming in about something. But like, but anyway, from that though, a lot of people were recommending this book called We Used to Live Here, which I started reading, which is funny though, because I was telling Todd, I was like, oh, this book is so frustrating because as of like page 8, if I were in this scenario, the book would be done.
Yeah.
And like, so now the point that like I'm basically strapped in for something that I'm not necessarily on board for is frustrating to me. And it's weird because I was like, I do this with movies all the time and I'm fine with it. And so I just have to remember, like, it's weird, I think, just because of the process of like reading and imagining and like doing this, the book is a much more participatory activity.
Instead of just letting it happen in front of you. Like,
and so it requires effort from me to go through this. And so I'm a little bit like resentful right now, but I'm sure it'll be fun when it's done.
Well, it's like my new favorite thing too is saying like, especially since we're watching all these movies from the 90s, is saying like cell phones and the internet would have ended this film in the first 10 minutes.
Man, seriously.
Like especially
Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Background check would have been done on
she was
social
on the
media
news,
instantly.
so I'm sure her face would have made Instagram. You know, like people would have known she was the wife of the doctor. You know, like and yeah, you would have done a background check and asked for Facebook pages and stuff.
The second she posted a picture of at the park with our new nanny, someone would have been like, isn't that so-and-so?
Yeah.
It would have been done.
Exactly.
The end.
Isn't that so-and-so's baby? Oh, and there was a big scene where she sabotaged this guy's project by simply shredding something that was supposed to go in the mail.
It'd be a
And
FedEx.
it's like,
Very important product placement.
And, but instead he would have just emailed it. And so like that plot point would have just been completely.
It would have been submitted when it was done. Like the end.
Yeah, that's my new favorite thing is be like phones and the internet would have ended this film in the first 5 minutes.
Seriously, there's so many things that would have been different. I mean, she would have had to go straight to like cutting the brake lines, like that old classic.
Yeah.
You know, just for the sake of like, well, I got nothing else.
Yeah. Like I'm trusting to an extent, but like you got to protect your peace and your privacy and your freedoms. Like I don't feel bad for not trusting this girl to walk through her home, even if she was 100% legit.
No guilt on that. Like that is a thing where just
you got to think it through, gang.
Well, and also like, and it's funny because I was even thinking, I was like, honestly, the pandemic really changed how we feel about, I think, like where our home ends, like where, you know, the door of where our home ends versus like outdoors. Like home is a little bit more fortressy. Like we don't really just have people in. And so like, at least
it's our space.
Yeah. I've become much more protective of our space since quarantine, I guess, back in 2020.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Just
I would say the other thing, it hit like international threads. And so a lot of people from other countries were like, this is the problem with America. You're afraid of everything. And I was like, this is not everything. I'm afraid of a stranger coming into my home. That's totally normal.
Yeah. And I'm
not afraid of bananas in a grocery store.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not afraid that a book is going to turn a child gay.
Yeah.
Like, but like, seriously, I am at least concerned in that, like, and it's funny because a lot of people are just like weirded out. I'm like, haven't you seen Wild Things? Like, I just don't want it to ever be a their word versus mine.
Right.
Because guess what? My existence is a political wedge at this point, and I don't want to be part of this.
And that's why I'm glad it all happened in front of the Ring doorbell and we got it all on camera.
It's one of those things that, like, we don't fuck around because that's just a thing of like, I want there to never be any misunderstanding of what happened there.
Document everything and protect yourself.
Right. And it was a totally friendly interaction. And seriously. And
that was the thing too. She was like, okay, cool. I understand.
And she
wasn't mad.
No, she was cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Well,
anyway,
I think that's a great point to move on to our final segment, which is What's Your Order? What's Your Order?
I'll take that. It's your turn.
Is it my turn to pick?
Yeah.
I have here our lovely handbook for the recently deceased popcorn tin filled with ideas at this point, and I'm going to choose one out. We're going to talk about it. So today's What's Your Order is... Let's see. Coffee order. What is your coffee order? Not favorite coffees, not favorite cafes. Literally, how do you take your coffee? This is good because this will be succinct and we can wrap it up.
Well, I do have two. I have my at home versus
multiples.
outdoors, basically. So at home, I am a Blue Bottle NOLA man, which
fancy.
yeah, they're New Orleans style coffee, which is basically a crazy ass coffee concentrate, and then which I make myself here with their beans, and then the other half is like you do a little bit of sugar, and then the other half is basically dairy. So
and you've been doing that for like over a year now,
I've been doing it for a couple years because I got really attached to it when we first moved to Seattle,
Yeah.
because the Whole Foods there had the little cartons of it. And that shit is delicious because it introduced me to coffee with chicory in it.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. And so now I do like a little bit of a variant of it where I add my own mocha element to it. And so it's a little bit more, chocolate milky.
Well, and we joke all the time, like we are ready to open our own little coffee stand.
Well, because at any given point, I have cold brew in the fridge. Like I have all sorts of various concoctions happening.
And you're really good at it.
I make my own sugar syrup and all that kind of stuff. So
fans to the max.
That's my at
so
home.
And it's specifically Blue Bottle, which there's Blue Bottles in LA, San Francisco. Obviously, that's where it was invented. I'm sure it's national now, so you might be able to find a Blue Bottle coffee shop in the wild if you want to try Rob's.
They are
Rob's
delicious.
Beverage. Also, Whole Foods sells it in little cartons.
They do, which
like individuals.
It's interesting. Like the one at Whole Foods has milk, whole milk as the dairy in it, and then but if you go into the store and you order it, the default that they give it to you as, I believe, is
You mean the cafe?
Yeah, or in a cafe, the default is oat milk, which I was like, what? And they were like, that's the default. I was like, whole milk, my baby. Like, just let's go. But I think might have to add your own sugar syrup in the stores or in the cafe, because literally I think I got it and it was like, oh, I had to sweeten this myself.
Yeah.
But
you also do that at home sometimes. You're like, normally I do 2 spoons, but now I need to do 3 spoons.
Yeah, but like honestly, the Whole Foods carton of Blue Bottle NOLA, delicious, amazing. That's probably like the ultimate way to test it. And if you love it, you'll probably want to subscribe and make your own. It's really
He has all the accoutrement, the full setup. He's got a grinder. He's got
I've burned through a grinder already. I'm on my
Toddy
second
cold
grinder.
brew system.
Yep.
Which I love. This is your second one.
I love my cold brew system. It has the same name as you.
Yeah, and we have 2 of them because Rob's mom is adorable. If Rob likes something and she likes that thing too, but doesn't realize like the work put into it, she will just instantly order it. So like she came to our house the first time, I think.
Yeah.
And
tried a little bit of my coffee.
She was like, "Ooh, this coffee's delicious." And Rob's like, "Well, I make it in this system." She's like, "Done," and ordered the system.
It met her at home.
I don't think they ever made one order.
I think they did it once, and then they realized this is a lot of work because you got to do a full bag of coffee.
Hours,
yeah, and it's
12
to 24.
Yeah, it's a full.
It's a commitment.
Yeah,
it is, and especially like they had their own kind of like they loved a single kind of Nespresso situation, so like big batch cold brew, not their scene. So
then the next time Rob went to LA, she was like, "By the way, take this home with you."
Yeah.
So now we have
2, a
double system.
Yeah. Hey, whichever need to make a lot, but we can. So that's my at home. Otherwise, I occasionally do hot black coffee, usually with a donut, or after dinner. But then out and about at like let's say a Starbucks, I've been going through their cold brew with the chocolate cold foam lately.
Oh yeah.
It's so good because it's like chocolatey, not too sweet. Like, and
most of the sugar is in the foam.
And the fact that you just get like a little just sort of dust of it at the top of every sip is really nice.
Yeah.
Although I did look, I want to say the default of that one also comes with a couple pumps of vanilla. But
that's the sweetener usually.
Yeah, but it's delicious. And like I've gotten used to a sweeter coffee now because I used to be just like black tea unsweetened, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I can deal with a little bit of a sugary coffee.
Well, and also you love chocolate flavoring, like specifically the flavor of chocolate, like in Cocoa Krispies, like a fake chocolate flavor. But
I love chocolate.
So,
and chocolate flavor.
You love that chocolate cold foam. I hope they never take it away.
Well, and I like the vanilla cold foam. I like the only one I haven't done is the pistachio.
That's my favorite. I get the pistachio.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Well, good segue.
Yeah.
Let's slide over to you. What's your coffee order?
Well, see, I have a million, but my daily coffee order is I am a hot brew guy in a good old fashioned Mr. Coffee, like 12 cup.
The one that makes the fun noises.
Yeah, like I have tried everything. I have a French press. I tried cold brew.
I remember the French press phase.
I had a Keurig machine for a while. I did strictly instant for a long time. Like I have gone through several phases, but at the end of the day, I didn't come here to make friends.
Strictly instant felt like a dark day, dark days for us.
But at the end of the day, what works is the good old cheap Mr. Coffee homebrew system, and I just brew hot coffee in it every other day. Because the pot makes 12 cups, so I drink like half the pot one day, and then I save, and then the next day I microwave and reheat the second half of the pot, and that's just how I like to make my coffee at home. But then I put we get lactose-free half and half from the grocery store, and then we also drink Lactaid milk. So then I do, depending on the mug, I usually do 4 Splendas, and then I do a heavy splash of half and half and a heavy splash of 2% Lactaid. And that's my morning coffee every day.
And these mugs are big. Like,
I like a big mug because I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So it's usually a I would say close to a 20-ounce mug.
I'd say it's a good
16 ounce.
I'd say it's a good 2.5 mugs of normal coffee. In that mug.
Yeah, I like a giant mug because Mama needs coffee. That's what one of them says. And then
and like for beans, like you don't do whole bean.
No. I do strictly pre-ground store-bought coffee. I'm a Pete's, right?
Which Costco has our stuff.
Yeah, I get Pete's Organic Dark Roast. Pre-ground from Costco. That's my favorite. That's the perfect cup of coffee for me. But then I also like the Starbucks, like from the store. If I run out of the Costco one, then I'll get Starbucks pre-ground dark roast, Italian roast. And then I also add, which kind of started from you because you bought it and then didn't really want it.
Well, I bought it and I tried making a batch of my coffee and it was just motor oil dark, like way too intense. It was crazy.
But it's the Café Du Monde. Just
New Orleans style.
Yeah, Café Du Monde. It's in an orange can. You can get it at the grocery store. We get it from Amazon.
It's coffee with chicory.
But, it's ground coffee with chicory, and it's a dark roast. It literally tastes like cigarette ashes, but it's so good to me. Like it's what I want.
It is intense, but I like how you use it, and that like you kind of just add it to coffee. You're not making a meal of it. You're just kind of seasoning your other coffee.
My recipe is I take my coffee filter, I fill it almost all the way full. And that's the other thing too. I don't brew by the package's directions because that's like 6 tablespoons or whatever. No, the vessel that holds the coffee filter, I fill it almost to the top of the filter with coffee grounds. And then I do 2 tablespoons of the Nola on top. And then that brews the dark, rich, ashtray burnt coffee flavor that I like every morning.
I love how personal coffee is, even just like a drip machine, which I totally grew up with. Like my parents were like kept beans in the freezer and ground their own every day in like a spice mill kind of thing, but it went into a Mr. Coffee drip.
To not contaminate.
But it went into a Mr. Coffee dripper like every single morning. So
my perfect thickness and density of coffee is when you pour cream in it and like the cream doesn't turn it super white. It's almost like orange. Then that gets a good strong burnt dark roast cup of coffee. Like that's what I want. I always call it church basement coffee when you're like coffee like at a hotel breakfast bar or something, and then you put cream in it and it just turns white and the coffee was practically clear and you're like, oh, there's no coffee in this water at all. It's just brown water.
Well, for a minute when I was at work for just ease, I was buying the Trader Joe's black coffee concentrate, which you're supposed to like really cut, I think, but with 4 times the amount of water to turn it into like normal coffee. And I would just literally put it over ice in a tumbler. It looked like I was drinking hard alcohol.
Yeah.
Except I would just add like just enough cream to it where it kind of looked like Kahlua. Mm-hmm. And I would just sort of sip this like thick coffee syrup like for the first like hour, just kind of like it was just like intense, and you kind of do it through just squinted eyes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's left over from when I was a smoker, but like I need my coffee to be very strong flavor. It could be decaf, honestly. Like sometimes I probably should drink decaf. It's not like I need strong caffeine coffee.
It's the flavor and the smell.
I need strong flavor coffee.
Right? Deep brewed flavor.
And then, it's so funny we live in Seattle. We do not go to coffee shops. We only go to Starbucks. And my Starbucks order...
We rarely go to Starbucks,
That's very rare. Very rare. My Starbucks coffee right now is the pistachio cold foam cold brew. It's so good. I need to just get a bottle of pistachio syrup so I can make my own flavor at home.
Yeah.
Because, it's such a good coffee flavor. It's so fresh. I love it so much.
Well, and it's because, we are basically coffee in the morning people. We don't really... We often have a second cup of coffee at home.
Yeah.
But, we don't really...
I'm going to have one after this, even though it is 4:30. I'm going to have another cup of coffee after this.
But, we rarely leave the house in the first place. And then on top of that, if we leave the house, we probably already had our coffee.
Yeah.
So it's funny, there's not really a lot of reason for us to be midday coffee, which although I was super into that recently, but I think it's because when I was in Vegas for the DICE Awards, I basically drink coffee all day, just to kind of keep me going. So,
and I definitely love, like you said, I love a good coffee after a very rich steak dinner. But usually in a restaurant setting, although I would occasionally do it at your parents' house after dinner or like after a holiday meal, but like
an espresso.
if I'm in a
after,
fancy
like,
restaurant, I love a little coffee at the end, even
Right.
if I've been drinking. Oh, it's so good.
Well, and always and for me, it's one of those nice things, especially like it's in like a large like work dinner capacity where some people are ordering dessert, some people just want to chat. It's one of those things of like, yeah, I can nurse a cup of coffee, like that's easy, and I can still participate, not be weird, like, but yeah, just give me a cup of coffee.
Well, and it really does go perfect with cigarettes, but like it's kind of the cigarette theory that a lot of smokers have. It's like gives you something to do, which cell phones have replaced that for a lot of people. Like now you can just stand alone and look at your phone and nothing's awkward. No one cares. Cigarettes used to be that before we had cell phones. Like you could stand by yourself outside or even sit at a bar. If you're smoking a cigarette, well, you're doing something.
Yeah.
So you're not just sitting there like a lump on a log.
Yeah, you're not that weirdo who decided to get a table for one to eat.
But like,
which like I say that because that's weird that there's a stigma for that.
Yeah.
Because I
but
don't
like
agree.
cigarettes go really well with coffee too. And you can just sit. Now you can just do the coffee. You can sit in a coffee shop by yourself, just drinking coffee. And that's all you have to do. And no one's going to think it's weird.
What a time to be alive.
But yeah, so I think that's all of the different coffees that we drink. But yeah, if I'm drinking coffee, I need it creamy and I need it Splenda-y. That's my sweetener of choice.
And you typically want it hot.
Generally, yeah. No matter the temperature outside or time of year.
And I am almost strictly cold unless with a donut or after dinner.
Yeah, it's a pairing.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is, oh my God, I literally just lost it.
Oh no.
Oh God. I was going to, am I having a stroke? Oh God, there was one more thing about coffee I was going to say.
Do you want to cut this out so you have time to think about it?
No, we can leave it in.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's about to pop back into my brain. Oh my God, that was so weird.
Coffee,
that was so
cold.
weird. Oh, no. Wait, I lost it
cream.
again. Stop saying words.
Sorry.
You're making it so worse.
Sorry.
Oh, what was it? Oh God. I was going to say that. Oh, Jesus, I found it. Back in the day, pre-pandemic, when I worked in 9 to 5, when I was working at NPR, NPR was an hour away from our home. So I had a very long journey in the car.
Oh, yes.
And I would always drink a giant coffee. And then I would drink coffee all day at the radio station. And then I had an hour drive home. So then I would fill up. And one of the only free things you get at NPR, I think the only free thing is coffee. Everything else is vending machines. So like I would take advantage of the free coffee, refill my giant cup, and then drink a coffee on the drive home. So I was drinking coffee all day long
Just
in LA.
vibrating at NPR.
Right now I would just buzz. You could probably hear the shingles on the roof rattle if I did that. If I drank coffee like I used to.
Well, it is funny because me having like suddenly just being out and about and being like, ooh, Starbucks at 3, and I'm just having like a train to cold brew in the middle of the day, and all of a sudden I realize I'm a fucking nervous wreck and I have no idea why. And then I talked to Todd and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't eaten and I've just been drinking coffee. That's why.
Yeah. And your tongue is fuzzy and you can smell math.
Yeah, it was just one of those things of like, and he's through the phone, he's like, you are everywhere.
Well, and I feel like there probably obviously is an exact science of like how much caffeine is in which preparation of which coffee, but for some reason my brain is like, well, cold brew is stronger than hot brew, and they say that like the lighter the roast, the more caffeine, because the darker the roast burns out the caffeine.
That's what I hear.
I honestly don't know if that's true, but that's what everyone says.
Flavor wise, I would think the opposite,
right?
But like, yeah, I mean, but I guess it makes sense what you're telling me. But
so I never know what coffee I'm drinking has what caffeine in it, but I'm like, oh, it's the afternoon, I'll just do cold brew, and it's like, that's the Red Bull one. That's the one that's cocaine.
Yeah, you just got the Four Loko. You got the Panera lemonade that kills you.
The beach that makes you old.
The Panera lemonade that kills you.
Did you get a Panera lemonade that kills you at the beach that makes you old? All right. Well, yeah, those are our coffee orders, and now I have to go get some coffee.
So
I'm just
it does
gonna have
sound
a little
delicious.
one. I know it's nighttime, but I do need a little bit of coffee. I just need that extra added energy.
Just to get you through the Oscars. That telecast is going to be long.
Right. So it's going to be a long night. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Let us know what your coffee is. That's your homework assignment. Try something new. Go out and get a coffee if you don't drink coffee and see how your life changes.
As suddenly they develop heart palpitations and new problems.
Don't blame me.
Not a doctor.
This is purely just fun homework. You didn't hear from me, but yeah, go try some coffee. That sounds fun. But thank you guys so much for listening. That's really another fun episode.
Right? We try to have a good time.
Let's wrap it up and get the hell out of here.
Okay,
all right.
fine.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.